Greetings, 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 and welcome to Blended Healing. Tonight, we're going to be doing part 2 of our 5-part series on shadow healing. Tonight, we're going to have a demonstration, and we have a very special guest that's here tonight. That's going to be, I have tremendous respect for her. She's a wonderful person, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. I can't wait to introduce you to her. I am on live, and I apologize. I gotta go.
What's Moni?
I'm on live. I gotta go.
Okay.
All right. I apologize for that. The phone isn't here. So welcome again. Let me just give you some housekeeping rules. So I just want to say, because tonight is a very special night, I want you to understand that I am so pleased and excited that you have decided to make this commitment to yourself to heal. I know that this process is very hard. Hi, Alicia, darling. I know this process is very hard, and you have made the commitment to heal yourself. Tonight, like I said, we're going to have a couple of special guests on our panel. So I ask you to please respect the panel as well as the guests that are coming, and to each other in this safe space. So gratitude. So let's get it started. This will be a refresh review of what we went over in our first part. Remember that we were doing our journal prompts. So you had the accountability in the morning. You are to write out what's your inspiration for today. You're asking the Holy Spirit to teach you during the day. So you want them to teach you whatever you're asking to have healed or lifted or removed. Today I give thanks for. Those are where you are prompted to do statements of gratitude. Today I ask you to. Is your request or your desire for the day or for your life? I want you to be aware of and be on the lookout for answered prayers. Your faith will be challenged. Stand your ground. Prayer and meditation is your communion and your connection to the divine. Every night, you should be doing a self reflection nightly. You should be asking, what are you grateful for today? How did you show up in your life today? This is just a journal prompt for you as well. Nobody sees this but you. Okay. The third thing is, did I honor my agreement today? Remember, I told you to go back to the self love agreements to review that video and pull out the 4 agreements and choose one. Who did you uplift today? Who did you uplift? And how did I support my surroundings today? Things that were going on around you and stuff like that. How did you support that? And lastly, before you close your eyes at night, I want you to understand that you need to set your intention for what tomorrow is going to look like for you. I also asked you to identify your own board of directors and what that looks like to you. Those are people who support you and advise you in your life. I know you don't understand what this is for, but you will understand it later. Okay? So be honest. As much as you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. I thank you so much for coming to this all important session tonight. Tonight, we're going to be deconstructing triggers. Surprise! I call it the breakdown or peel the onion. Okay. So, with that, I am so happy to bring forth my guest tonight who is going to be a part of this process. I'm only going to say her first name. I'm going to call her Chiquita. I am extremely happy to have her volunteer for this because she didn't have to. And I am extremely proud of her to wanting to step forward to go through the healing process. So, without further ado, let's get into this. I'm going to show you what we're going to look forward to tonight. I'm going to speak to it. It is definitely a warning. This is definitely a trigger warning. Okay? It's called the breakdown, peeling of the onion. I give you a demonstration because onions have layers. So for each layer that is on an onion, it is considered a trigger. It is something that, somebody says something, does something to you, and all of a sudden you just explode. It's a trigger. It's your reaction. Some triggers you don't react to, but it does take you to another place. Yes, you will be going down the rabbit hole to get to the core of that issue. Remember, in all processes, remember to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe out. We will be doing a meditative prayer tonight before we start with my volunteer Chiquita tonight. Once again, I want to thank you all for committing to the process of healing. Welcome, Alicia. Welcome. Thank you so much for making the commitment. Much appreciation to you, doll. Okay. I'm going to take this off because we really don't need that tonight. And where's my boo-bye at? Hey, Chiquita Rose. Hey,
Hello.
boo.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
You're what?
I'm well, and yourself?
Good. I'm glad. I'm good. I had a little headache, but it's not about me. It's all about you tonight. I
Oh,
am
I
very proud
see.
of you. I'm very proud of you for coming forward. I also want you to I also want to introduce my other panelists. Uh, Lakeisha Settles. Lakeisha Settles is a master level social worker who has worked over 15 years and with the experience in children, families, and couples. So she's going to be talking later on. Lakeisha, thank you so much for coming. I am so blessed and honored to have you on the panel tonight, and I appreciate your input. Hey, Lakeisha.
Hello, thank you. I'm just gonna sit in the backdrops and I'll speak afterwards.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All
you
right,
so much
nice
for
meeting you
coming in.
all.
All right. Okay, Chiquita. So we're going to start this process for you in the panel. We're going to do a deep breath meditation, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to sit um, and just relax. Just relax. Relax your body. We're going to do 7 sets of 7, okay? So what it is that we're going to inhale 7 times. You're going to push your stomach out, and then you're going to hold it for 7, and then you're going to release it in for 7. And we're going to do that 7 times. This is to get you focused and centered. And those who are in the chat to be focused and centered on what's about to happen, okay? This is going to be good. Let's begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Again. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's nothing to do. Relax. Just relax. There's nothing to do. Whatever's running through your mind, just let it go. Just push that out of your mind. You're just going to concentrate on the breath. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Shake your shoulders out. Just shake them out. Okay, let's go back in. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. You're doing good. You're doing good. Just nothing to do. Just concentrate on breathing. Just concentrate on breathing. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. You're doing really, really good. Really good. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Just relax. Our last group of 7s. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Move your shoulders around. Move your neck around. I need you to totally relax. Totally relax, okay? Chiquita, while you're sitting in this position, I need you to keep your eyes closed. We're going to do a meditation prayer, okay? Father God, Mother God, all that is within you is in with me. I want to thank you for Sister Chiquita to come present here in center as being a part of the demonstration. And she's so, so strong. And I'm so, so grateful for her to come forward to do this demonstration to show others how to do this in real time. We know that there is things that we bury deep, 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 deep inside that we just bury it and we don't want to deal with it and we just keep moving in our path. We know that when certain things happen in our real life, that people end up triggering these things, or we see an event that happens and we get triggered and we just don't know how to control that rage or anger or sadness. But we know that you know when this happened. We know that you can help us because we have the power within to heal our own selves. There is no judgment in this safe space. And I want to thank you so, so much for everything that you have done for her, everything that you're doing for her, and everything that you're about to do. I want to thank you so much for having Chiquita Rose come forward. I want you to watch her tonight, follow her, help her as she goes and navigates through this process tonight. I don't know what may have transpired today or the days before, but I do know that we all have situations that make us feel some type of way. Maybe it could be with a significant other, or maybe it could be our children, or maybe it could be our circumstances, our employment, or maybe it could just be the fact that we just tired, but we know that we get our strength from you. And we are so ever grateful for that. Deep bow and ashe. So, Chiquita, what triggered you today? Just pick one thing.
The children.
The children. So, not to get all in your business and put it out in the metaverse, your children, what are their age range?
Their ages ranges from 2 to 20.
Wow, that's a big range. You have
Um,
a you have a big range of age there. So not only are you going through the toddler twos, the terrible toddler twos, you're going through the young adult stage where they're all trying to find themselves. And you are trying to manage all of that and manage yourself. So
correct.
how are you doing that? Greetings. Thank you, Life XO. Thank you so much for coming.
One day at a time, 1 hour at a time.
Okay. So I know that you said that children are triggering to you. Is there anything specific that they're doing that is triggering you today?
Their energy.
That's very broad. Their energy. Can we take that down? Is there anything specific? Is it that they are misbehaving in your eyes? Are they talking back? Are their energy of um, not paying attention? What do you say about their energy? Because it
Is
sounds like it's not a loving situation.
their energy as talking back, having a rebuttal to things that they don't even understand, just listening to reply, little things
Mm.
that trigger mom, the guilt trips situations.
Is there a specific child, or is this all of them collectively? Because I can't see a 2-year-old doing that, but you never know.
It all happens like a domino effect.
It's a domino effect. Okay. So how are you feeling right now at this moment?
At peace.
You're at peace right now, but
Yes,
you
the
just
days
stated that your children triggered you today. So how was you able to get out of that?
breathing and prayer.
Breathing and prayer. Yes, prayer is definitely the communication key to the divine. So I want to go back to the children not paying attention, giving you bad energy, talking back. Um, what does that remind you of? Like, when did that start with them?
It started probably when in junior high, each child has this mechanism, kind of like they become pod people after junior high, and that's when it starts happening.
So you believe it's outer influence into them, or is it something that is triggering them at home, or do you believe that it's a combination thereof?
It's a combination of all of it in a nutshell.
Okay. So we all know that teenagers or preteens have a tendency of acting out because they're trying to find themselves and everything. And we know that that's expected. And because we've been there. So going back a little bit, um, you're saying they're not listening to you. They're not listening to you or anything right now. I apologize. I didn't put my phone on do not disturb. Um, wow, that just kind of like threw me off. So when you saw that type of or felt that energy back then when you were going through it, because you're constantly going through this, because with each stage of each child, they're going to go through this teenage or pre-teenage situation, you know, and that's something that we have to deal with.
Correct.
There's no manual on how to be a parent. We can only emulate what we know. So with that, can you remember back to when you was their age and how you were like that? What was it like for you?
In some ways, I can relate up until a certain age. Then I became an adult very quickly. So, where certain children and their age range are, I can't relate, but I'm trying to communicate, and it's been rather difficult with this new era of children.
Okay. May I ask, are you a single parent, or did you or did you grow up in a single parent home?
I grew up in an unusual dynamics. I wouldn't say a single parent home. It was just an extended family home I was in with my mom and dad.
Okay, so are you raising your children now in a two-parent home or in a single family home? Single parent home, I'm sorry.
Present time, single parent home.
Okay, okay. So how are you able to juggle your children with all of this emotions moving around and you growing as a woman and a single mom? How are you managing to work around all of these different personalities, emotions? How are you able to try to hone that in?
I try to take it in strides and I pick my battles.
Very good. So, going back to the children, now you stated that you can relate to some of the issues that they're going through, relatable to when you was around the same age. Where's the difference?
The difference is that I'm aware of the things that are going on and the evaluations that has taken place now that wasn't done when I was a kid. So I'm able to pick up the things that are alarming and things that needs to be dissected in a structure that they understand, and every child needs structure. So everything is constantly changing for each child. Each structure, habit, each schedule. It's quite tedious, but it can be done.
Okay, so that sounds a little high level. What I'm trying to, maybe I'm not wording it correctly. When you were that age, junior high school, the way you were in junior high school, what is the similarities in your children that you can see and relate to?
The impulsiveness, their attributes, their I guess their strengths and their weaknesses, because they're little me's.
They are, definitely. Okay, so when you start recognizing and saying that they don't listen to you and they give you bad energy, did you do the same thing to your um, guardian or parent that raised you?
Of course.
You did, huh?
They're lightweight
So,
compared to me, but
okay, okay. So, therefore, you can relate in a way that there are many yous and they're doing the same exact thing that you used to do. It's just got a 2023 flair to it. That's all. Am I hearing this right?
correct. It's something
Oh,
definitely new,
so
but
if
light.
that's okay, so if that's the case, and you know that this is what they're doing, they're emulating almost the same thing that you did at your age, except with flair. Why is it a trigger to you?
Because I don't know how to handle it at certain times. At times, it could be a bit overwhelming with each child.
Okay, so the authority that was over you when you was in junior high school, okay, how did they handle you when
They
you
gave
was
me a
out of
fair
pocket?
warning, and they let me go out into the world.
They gave you fair warning.
Yes, they gave me the pros and cons, and gave me the decision to decide. And at whatever time and point that I had to make the decision, I chose the rebel side, I guess, and I had to learn a lesson.
Okay, so let's stop there. So, are you doing the same process with your kids? Are you giving them the pros and cons?
Sometimes
So,
when they can,
are you emulating the same thing?
in certain ways, yes.
Okay. So, let's go a little bit deeper than that. So, with that being said, and them taking you back to your junior high school days, okay? So, you know that your actions, or you are aware that your actions may have been a little challenging to the parent that was over you, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, you said that you grew up in an area where, I'm sorry, you grew up where you had others in the home, um, like siblings, or I don't know if they're siblings or family members. You grew up in an eclectic atmosphere. So, would they had their hands in raising you or guiding you as well?
Yes, they did.
Okay, does it look similar to what you're looking at with your children? Since they are siblings to each other and they're in the same framework.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's go back a little bit more. So you were, you said you chose the rebellious side. You decided to go the rebellious way. What did that look like?
A lot of hard lessons and exciting moments.
Okay. So it was a lot of hard lessons because you were being rebellious. And what age was this for you?
Junior high, I'd say 12, but junior high is like 12, 13.
I don't know. It difference. It changes. So junior high to me, I was 13. So it started seventh grade for me.
All
Junior
right.
high started what grade for you?
I was turning 13.
You were turning 13.
Yeah, that see, that's
And you
the
are running them up, running them
I
up.
was I
You were
was.
running them up. Miss Chiquita, was you running them up?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Is your children running amok at the age of that?
At the moment, the castle's in chaos. Yes.
I love how you say the castle's in chaos. Okay. So now I'm just going to take you down a little bit deeper than that. What's the difference between the way you were raised and the way that you're raising your children? What's the difference?
A little bit more communication than I seem to have because the dynamics that I was raised in, it was more of an unsaid things that was the missing links to communication that I should have had. Maybe I wouldn't have rebelled as much. Who knows?
So it seems to me that you're saying it's the case of growing up, and I think that all of us do this when we're going through those stages. That we say, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like this, and I'm not going to be like that, and I'm not going to raise my kids like this. I'm going to raise my kids like that. Is that what you were doing?
Correct.
Okay, all right, okay. What part of that made you sad when you was back there in junior high school? That made you rebel, and was it peer pressure, or did you do it because this is what you felt to do, that you wanted to do?
There was a combination of things. I went through a lot of things, family dynamics. It was kind of like a divorce split in my family, and
Hmm.
it kind of triggered a spiral effect to where everything was just out of control. So one thing led to another, and that's how it started.
So did that happen prior to junior high school?
The unraveling started prior to junior high school. The actual
How,
hard effects happened.
so how old was you?
The unraveling about 10.
Did you know what was going on? Did they communicate with you what was going on?
No, what parent communicates with their children, at least in that age? Everything was a hush hush, and children should be seen, not heard.
How was you feeling around that age about that? Feeling pushed out and not knowing what was going on, but kind of knowing, but guessing and filling in your own gaps. How old was you?
Confused,
I mean, how did
lost
you
about
feel?
10.
Did you lose
Um,
trust?
Absolutely.
You lost trust. And you said you're about 10 then?
About 10. Yes. It just came crashing down.
Mm. Mm. So let's go a little bit deeper into that part. So you lost trust. You were looking at everybody sus. Everybody was looking at you sus. You were looking at everybody suspect that when you was 10 years old. And you're like, did you do the why me?
Yeah, I did the why me's for some time.
Hmm. Who did you blame? Because
Everyone,
a 10-year-old always transfers blame. Who did you blame?
everyone, each each aunt and uncle, mom, dad, the whole family.
So
Lack of
with that
communication.
being said, when you got to your when you were back then, did you have any close friends that you confided in on how you were feeling, or you kept all of that inside?
No, at that time you keep everything to yourself. It's an unsaid thing, and now I think the children now still have that in some areas. There are children that still have that hush hush, which should release those feelings before it bottles up and they can't explain and explode.
Understood. But going back to you, we know that kids translate things differently. So going back to you and your 10-year-old self and feeling like that, did you ever get a feeling or inkling any uh thing was different between your family dynamics and anybody else? Did you have a picture, an image of what a family should be like at 10?
Of course, you go to school and you see the dynamics and the lessons in the school is mom, dad, children, the dog, the house, the picket fence. My dynamics wasn't like that. Similar, but wasn't like that.
Did you feel as though you were loved though?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you feel that you caused any of the conflict as being a 10-year-old self?
Of course.
Let's talk about that. Why do you feel that you was the cause of the conflict?
Partially probably my impulsiveness, as a child, as things start to unravel, children, don't understand, so that they unconsciously can do things.
So you started doing that at 10 or you started doing that before 10?
I started noticing things at 10, and then 12 is when everything just went kaput.
So your time spent with your family between the age of being a baby all the way up into the age of 9, everything was peace, love, and joy.
Yes, I would say so.
So actually, your triggering time came at the age of 10. The age of 10. So that's when things became more apparent to you. Um, that's where the breakdown of seeing things differently, looking at people differently, your trust was broken. So, what do you consider trust is? What is your definition of trust? Looking at it from a 10-year-old perspective.
Your your parents, your elders, in my dynamics, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. I had a big family, extended family. My mom.
What is your definition of trust? What do you consider trust is? What is your definition of it?
A bond that you share between another person.
That would do what? So, the definition of trust for you is a bond between two people or more.
Something like that, yes.
Okay. So the definition, according to the dictionary, is a firm belief in the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, a person or thing in which confidence is placed. It is also an assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, one in which confidence is placed, dependence on something future or contingent, hope, being relied on. That is a definition of trust. Would you say that that's how you felt?
More or less,
That
yes.
you had people that you relied on that was dedicated there for you?
Yes.
That you knew that they were going to love you unconditionally and they would never let harm come to you?
Yes.
So at 10 years old, you start to realize that you kind of like had these people on a pedestal, so to speak, because this is what you knew. And at the age of 10, you felt that they were getting away from that, and that um, this is not what they're supposed to be doing, or you were saying that they were doing it wrong.
I feel like they went about it the wrong way and didn't think about the consequences of their actions and their feelings and emotions.
Okay. So now I'm going to fast forward you back up. So it started at 10 years old. So now I'm going to fast forward you back up to present day. And now I'm going to shift from you to your children. So when you look at your children, do they have trust in you? Do they
Yeah.
operate in trust?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you recognize yourself at 10 years old, the 10-year-old self in your children?
Yes.
Okay. Where they broke, where somewhere along the line their trust line broke?
And more or less, yes.
Okay. So you recognize that in your kids today. Now I'm going to zoom you back down to the age of 10. When you're looking at your 10-year-old self and all of the things that you have accomplished since then, in between all of the good and the bad and the evil that happened to you, are you in a better place now, or you feel that you're still in the same place?
I'm in a better place.
You don't feel betrayal or anything like that?
Sure, I do. But
Okay.
from then till now, I feel like I'm in a way better space than looking back and now to present time.
So if you had an opportunity, like right now, you have an opportunity as a grown woman, a mother of a mother, a single mother who was growing up underneath that same auspice, but with a bigger net, a bigger community around you. What would you say to that 10-year-old if she was sitting down on a bench or in a chair and she was feeling as though her trust for other people is broken? How would you communicate to her? What would you tell her about that?
I would try to console her and give her a hug and let her know that it's going to be okay.
And
And
how would you convince her that it is okay?
I would have to give her analogies and show her a few different examples to help her understand.
Okay. And you would start her at right then and there at 10 years old and tell her what exactly? I need you to give me more specifics of how you would talk to her.
Unfortunately, I would have to give her the harsh truth that she will be going through a journey that only the strong can survive, and she has it, and she's always had it.
Okay. And you would give her a hug?
Absolutely. Sometimes everybody needs a hug, even when they say they don't want it.
So, what if I told you that each person has a dark side and a light side,
I believe it.
and that there is an equilibrium? So, sometimes you operate in shadow and sometimes you operate in light, but it's
Of
up to
course.
you to balance that out. So, if you went to your 10-year-old self and told your 10-year-old self that it's going to be okay, and then walk her through the process of how she's going to heal and be assimilated back into the light. Okay? I want you to be able to see and imagine and feel that, and how you're going to sit down with each and every one of your children and tell them that whole same conversation. How would that look like to you?
Um, a disaster at the moment because I have an army, so each child learns a different way. So I would have to contour my explanation to each child's understanding.
But each one of them reflect you in some way. You said that they were mini me's.
Correct. Each child has a way of learning, and each child has the same sort of idiosyncrasies. I don't know if I'm using the right terms at the moment. They have the same idiosyncrasies, but their learning mechanisms, each child's learning mechanisms are different. So I can't tell the 16-year-old the same way I would tell the 17-year-old, because the 17-year-old learns visually versus auditory.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you know the meaning of trust. And somewhere along the line, when you was 10 years old, bringing you back to you got betrayed.
Correct.
So as you're going through this process with your children, and your trigger is their energy, um, knowing that you know that now, and it came out to the forefront, and we're going to try to tackle that. How would you um, embrace that shadow 10-year-old? You said that you would give her a hug and you would explain to her how things will get better for her, even though it be a rough road, right? Chiquita.
I'm sorry, I went in and out. Could you repeat that?
So knowing that, bringing you back to your 10-year-old self and where you was betrayed, where you felt that people betrayed you. And you said that you would hug that 10-year-old and tell her that life would be rough for her. But you also will tell her that she's going to be okay. And you would give her a hug and bring her back and let her know that she is loved, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I want you to see, close your eyes. I need you to see, feel, and imagine that yourself right now, how old you are, and you're facing that 10-year-old self, just a 10-year-old self. And I need you to just take a few moments and talk to that 10-year-old and give her a virtual hug. Pull her in and hug her like you've never hugged her before. And give her that love. I need you to see, feel, and imagine it. Nothing to do but just hug her and love her and just tell her that it's going to be okay. That you believe in with all of your heart that what you're telling her is how you would direct her and how you would direct your children, and how you will hug them and let them know that the road may be a little rocky at best, but they're strong enough to get through that. I want you to hug your 10-year-old self and tell her that it's going to be okay. I want you to hug her like you never hugged a child before. Give her all the love that she felt that she didn't have. Restore her trust. Restore her trust in you. because now that 10-year-old is now your responsibility. And you're going to make her, not make her, but urge her to understand where you are today. How do you feel, Chiquita?
I am speechless at the moment.
You're speechless. I want you to remember that. You're responsible for that 10-year-old now, to restore her trust and her faith in you. And you're going to teach her the lessons that will bring her up to your age and how she feels. And you're going to love her so much. And you're going to make her feel so good and so wanted and so needed. I want you to embrace her and pull her into you because you and her are one. So as you nurture yourself, you're nurturing her. But I want you to keep in mind that that same 10-year-old that you're embracing and bringing into yourself are the same little mini-me's that are running around you. So with that being said, and you knowing that, I once want you to keep in mind that part. You cannot help your children to understand if you don't understand. You can't help them if your cup is empty. We need you to restore and assimilate that situation into your being and think about her. And every day she's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger because you love her so much. And you're willing to take that time to heal her within and to restore trust. And as you're doing that, it's going to have a ripple effect to your children because your outlook is going to be different when it comes to trust and betrayal. How you feeling, Chiquita?
I'm feeling okay.
You feeling what, baby?
I feel okay at the moment. I'm speechless because it's a challenge. It's quite a challenge.
Okay. Well, turn inward and know that you have the strength and the power to do it. You have tenacity and you have the strength. And I want you to also know that you're not alone in that process. I want you tonight or this week, leading up to our next meeting for next Friday, I want you to write down and take your time and write down all of your triggers in the book. Nobody needs to know what they are. Just write them down and put them in your book. Okay? So that's what you're going to be doing sometime this week. And we're going to talk about that later on. But the other thing that's very important, some people feel as though they don't have the ability to do this on their own. So, from a clinical point of view, I want to bring forward Mrs. Settles, Lakeisha Settles, who is, like I told you before, with her accolades, she is a master social worker. Okay, so we're going to be bringing her forward, and if I'm going to let her talk about it, the stigmatisms that are around it. But know that if you can't do it alone, you can seek professional help. And it's okay. It's okay to do that. You can have one on one counseling with a professional, or if you choose to do that, you also have another option of doing group sessions where you're not by yourself, where there's group counseling. There's all different types of counseling methods out there that can help you. But right now, it's more so trauma that we're going through. So I am going to um, allow Miss Lakeisha to come forward and talk to everybody in regards to um, seeking professional help. Okay. All right.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? As you said, my name is Lakeisha Settles. I am a master level social worker. I've worked in social services for over 19 years in various capacities. I'm glad that you are here to work on yourself to be a better you. Thank you for sharing, Shakita, because sometimes it becomes difficult to be our true selves to other people. The new saying, what people are saying is it's okay to not be okay, you know. And I try to teach people when to be genuine when you're talking to people because there are some really hurting people, and people are really going through things. And when you ask somebody, "How are you doing today?" A lot of people just do that out of like redundancy, right? They don't really want to know how you're doing, but they say it because it's familiar. That's what you say. Hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm good. But when someone says I'm not good, what do we do? You know. And so we're just trying to teach people what do you do when someone says they're not okay, and try to make sure people get to a point or speak with someone that can make them be okay. And so I was listening to your story, and your story is is unique and familiar all at the same time. I can only imagine having children between the ages of 2 and 20. And like she said, there is no manual for being a great parent, right? And each kid, is parented differently in its own way. And the sad part about it is when you figure that kid out, is now an adult, and the only thing we have left is a memoir, which are memories of how we parented that child, because whatever techniques we use may not be translate well to the next child. So that can be challenges. However, I am a parenting coach as well, and so I do give my parents some tips and tricks to kind of help them um, get a ground basis, right? So the first thing I say is always be fair and consistent. Fair and consistent. Sounds like two normal words, but you have a lot of kids that don't do what they're supposed to do because parents don't hold up their end of the bargain. For example, you tell them, "Oh, if you get 4 A's on your report card, I'm gonna take you to Chuck E. Cheese," right? And then they come home, they show you the 4 A's, and then we never go to Chuck E. Cheese. And so kids are like, "Well, why am I doing the four? Why am I being good or getting A's, and she's not gonna take me to Chuck E. Cheese anyway?" So that's what I mean by being fair and consistent. Um, Seeking professional help has been a stigmatism in all communities. Um, and the biggest problem and the biggest drawback that I was sharing is it becomes money becomes an issue, right? Because the top notch therapists, they charge a lot of money, right? And if we don't have the insurance to support mental health or mental well being or emotional well being, then we're paying out of pocket, and sometimes you just can't afford to pay $125 a session weekly to a therapist to talk about your problems. It's just not, feasible for a lot of people, and therefore they don't seek, the professional help that would, kind of help them get a good footing on the situation, on the problem at hand. And so I just want to let you guys know that there is viable options out here. There are good therapists that don't charge a lot of money, and we do have a lot of therapists out here that does in kind and some pro bono work. So um, the biggest thing with therapists is that they want to make sure that you are consistent. If I'm going to clear my schedule to take you I want you to clear your schedule to be available. And so, is have you ever considered seeking a therapist, Miss Rose?
Yes, I have had many therapists. I've been through a
Mhm.
genre. The stigma for me, I
Mhm.
feel on my end is the lack of quality therapists, and the
Mhm.
insurance issue could be a problem, and of course, money is an issue.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
but I do believe that there are great therapists out there, but the stigma that falls behind the insurance and the ripple effect of, finances and so forth,
Right.
that could be a tempering effect for many people. I have
Mhm.
acknowledged, and I do stress to a lot of people that I come in contact or in my circle, that it is okay to seek therapy. But it is hard, and you
Right.
have to want to, and you have to be able to acknowledge it, recognize it.
Right. Right. And again, like I said, like I was talking to our leader today, the money becomes a major issue. I just think about I go and see a chiropractor. That's not even the therapist, and he wants $55 a session and wants me to come twice a week. I go to ad and I'm like, whoo, boy, I'm gonna have to cut back on something. But then it becomes what's a priority, you know, what's a, how much of a sacrifice am I willing to make, you know, and a lot of times when people don't feel like that the therapy is quote unquote working, they don't find it valuable. So that's another thing. Like, are you getting what you think you should be getting? Is it helping you? And I've seen a lot of therapists do that, what I call couch therapy. They sit there, yeah, okay, tell me more about that. And then when you leave, they haven't given you any rebuttal, nothing to help you sort out. You just did a bunch of talking, but we haven't come to any resolutions on what we should do. We haven't had any tips or tricks or advice on how to mitigate the situation, because I use with kids coping or crushing, right? So anything we come across, if we can crush it, we want to crush it because we don't want to cope with things we don't have to. Coping is just merely learning how to get along with it because we can't get rid of it. Anything that we can get rid of that is causing us stress and anxiety in our life, we need to absolutely do that. And so one thing I know is like with family members, you're gonna have that one family member that's triggering to one of your kids. Oh, here, baby, stop babying him. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with her. She just grown. She fast. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to whoop him. You need to do that. Always have something negative to say about the way you parent. So what I advise parents to do is stay away from Auntie Sandra or Uncle Johnny for a while, you know, because that's not something we should be coping with. If they're going to be negative when you're in their space, let's go ahead and mitigate that situation. Let's not be around them. If you know they're going to be at Thanksgiving dinner, don't go or go before they come or after they leave. Like let's not do that because if it's going to be triggering and cause you under stress, we don't need to do that. We don't need to cope with that. Um, until people learn to respect our boundaries. And that's another thing I like to talk about boundaries. Boundaries is ways that we teach people how to communicate and treat us. Boundaries are not for the people. Boundaries are for the people to respect and we create them. And that even go for our kids. You know, I have a rule once I get off work, I have to at least have 30 minutes of quiet time to myself so I can decompress. And so um, some days I just do it in my car because I know like they've already texted, they have a list of things they want. And so I might just sit in my car for those 30 minutes and decompress and not go in the house. So those are some of the things that I do for self care to help me get along with what it is I'm doing and how I operate and function as a person. Do you have time that you've carved out for yourself, Ms. Rose, where you're able to decompress and do things for yourself?
I've been making it a priority to do that because it has been affecting a lot of things for me. So in order for change to occur, you have to do something different. So I'm always going back to the drawing board and reset. And again, with my army of children and my dynamics, I'm constantly doing that with each milestone of each child and how
Mm-hmm.
I address certain things and how I address myself, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
professionally on a professional level or at home.
Right. So I want you to think about just like some ground rules from baby. You know how parents would say these are house rules. Be respectful. Clean up after yourself. If you make the mess, wipe it up. Stuff like that. So I want you to think about that portion. Just do some ground rules. Think about some things that you would like to be like surface ground rules that translates to everyone at every age, and then just kind of do building blocks from that. And then I'll give you more tips and things on how to help translate that through the age group, so you're not having to do it individually.
My thing
Because
is
that
that
can be.
we have the ground rules. It's now a part of with the older children. They are the simple tasks. What I try to do, kind of like I like to make the analogy of Karate Kid, the wax on and wax off theory. The
Hmm.
simple task I'm telling you, pick up your jacket, becomes astronomically overwhelming to tell you every day. Or the simple task of cleaning the bathroom a specific way because to avoid certain situations. They're not they're running through the task, they're getting it done because it's that rule, yeah, you have to do certain things. But now it's becoming okay, the little things that you're missing is becoming noticeable after a certain period of time of letting it build. And it's not like I'm
Hmm.
not reminding you or trying to be communicate with you. It's like after but so many times, what do you like? What else do you do? The stigma of, oh, slap the child and all that stuff. At certain times, I do feel that stern discipline is necessary, but
Okay, so when they don't do the thing that you've asked them to do, what are the repercussions like? What is the consequence?
the consequences is taking certain things away. Um,
Hmm.
my biggest thing is my children and every child, I guess, right now, electronics, privileges
Hmm.
to go out, um, things like that, so to speak. Um, doing an extra chore.
Okay. And are you consistent? Like if you say you have to give up your phone for a day, do you keep the phone for the entire day, or do you give in and give the phone back?
At times I could give it back, and at times, in the past I've been, you know, lenient, which I feel that
Mm-hmm.
I fell off to being consistent and stuff. That's why this approach this year has to be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, also, let's be realistic. Like, I tend not to say for a whole day because sometimes I forget, but I say, well, give me your phone for the next 3 hours because I can keep up with 3 hours, right? But sometimes I get lost and it's like, oh, I need my phone to do schoolwork or do something, and then I fall for the trick and
Right.
I
It's
give them the
something
phone. And I'm
different.
like, duh, that's stupid. You know what I mean? So I just try to be realistic about contact time and stuff like that. So I said, well, give me your phone for the next 3 hours. And so at least I know for 3 hours I was consistent. They know I was gonna take it, and I followed through. So they won't be thinking like, oh, she ain't gonna do nothing. She's not gonna follow through. So I started very small. Um, when it comes
My
to
children get a little
consistency.
spicy. My children tend to get a little spicy. They get used to or immune to certain repercussions,
Mhm.
and it's almost like I have to kick it up a notch or add a little bit more pepper to the recipe.
Okay. So what I did with recently was my children got spicy, and I turned the internet off in the whole house.
Mm,
No Wi-Fi.
that's a good one.
No Wi-Fi.
The
And
only problem
then
is if
they got
everything
slick.
wasn't like
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. We could be with no Wi-Fi for an hour. I go read a book or take a nap for an hour. Because see, what the ultimate goal here is that you're gonna learn that I'm not playing, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And if that means that I don't have Wi-Fi either, fine, but no Wi-Fi.
okay.
Then my children got slick, and they say, "Well, I just use my LTE off my phone, and I have a phone service where I can go and temporarily dislocate their phone so they can't use them." And so I did that one day, and they got the picture.
Hmm.
I kicked it up a notch.
I
And
gotta
so
kick it up a notch for Tuesday.
those are the things we have to sit down as parents and strategize and make sure we look at all angles and every kid is different. Johnny might be attached to her phone. His phone. Jimmy might be attached to the PS5. Sarah might be attached to, the kitchen, whatever the case may be. So what we doing? We give me all the controllers, put the PS5 in my room, put all the electronics in the box. We're gonna lock those up, and the kitchen closed.
Nice. I'm gonna actually remove it from their rooms this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also have a safe, and I put their phones in it, and I lock the safe, and I take the key. You're not getting in there.
That's a good idea too.
Mm-hmm.
Because somehow they find a way with the other electronics that are in the device, like the Alexas or something, to like log on to something else. Like, well, how did you do that? Even the TV.
Yeah, they use their PS5s, they use their Nintendo Switches, they use the Hey Siri, they use the Apple TV, they use the Amazon Fire Stick, they use the Roku remote. Oh yeah, they very resourceful. They're getting desperate. They start using the school computer.
Yes, I've noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, because they learn how to do pitching, and they put the YouTube on the school computer, and I listen to music this way. So I got a
Right.
big enough. I get all the phones and small electronics. I open the safe. I drop them in there. I shut the safe. I take the key, and I take the key with me. Now, if you get in that safe, you're a bad mamma jamma. And then I go because they ain't getting in the safe, and the key put up where you least expect it. And as a parent, I usually put stuff like that either in my pillow or in my favorite pair of shoes.
Okay, here's another trigger. So after you do certain things like that, then they throw themselves around in the house. Like you can hear them sound like elephants dropping from the sky.
Yeah. And then I extend the time. So I was only gonna keep them for an hour. So since you want to do that, if you keep it up, we'll turn it to an hour and 30 minutes. Okay. Sarah, you want to keep going? I'll keep yours for 2 hours. Johnny, I keep yours for an hour. Oh, you want to keep going? Okay, Johnny, you up to an hour and 30 minutes. Okay, you want to keep? Okay, everybody's phone 2 hours, and then you'll start seeing them motivate each other.
I'm gonna add that my children are very creative, I've noticed, and the older ones influence the younger ones. So the younger ones pick up on that energy, and it's kind of like they're trying to emulate it and try to be, parrots, I would want to say. And then they get the rude awakening. But I really want the teenagers to get the real rude awakening. And, being fair to younger children, almost like they're setting the little ones up.
Lakeisha, sounds like you're on mute, doll. You're on mute. Uh-oh. Did we lose her? She must have hit the wrong button. How you feeling, doll? You doing okay, Miss Rose?
Maintaining.
Is Miss Settles helping you process and let you know that there's another way that you can get? Okay, wonderful.
She's giving me a little bit more advanced tidbits to add to the recipe to help them understand. A little bit more strategizing and probably using their, I guess, Psych 101 for them or in their era, so to help them understand a little bit more, which is important.
You guys can hear me? I got
very good. So we have Miss Settles is back now.
Yeah, I apologize. I got disconnected. So what I was saying was teenagers have to jump on us when it comes to, technology and electronics. And so they tend to have the one up on us. And the only way we get the one up on them is to shut the entire device down. Whether it's the taking the device or taking the means for them to use the device. So, like with phones, I used to fight with "Give me your phone," right? And so I no longer fight with "Give me your phone." I just take all the chargers. It's gonna
Nice.
die. Like y'all can do whatever, but it's gonna eventually die, and then you're gonna have to see when you get a charger.
I like that. Take all the chargers. I'm gonna
Mhm.
add.
So there was just a few things, to kind of help you, kind of small things you can do to be consistent with to help start to build that wall of respect when it comes to I'm gonna mean what you say what you mean, and following through. So I always tell parents, don't start off outlandish. You're grounded for a month. We're not gonna keep up with that, right?
No, I
But
think
start
that's not realistic. That's like setting yourself up and them for failure. I feel like the children now they're self entitled, and I feel like for me, I try to give them almost like the same things that I had as a child, but I feel like I try to overcompensate in certain areas, certain times. And now it's the fallback of, okay, no, the no theory. Like, oh, can I do this? And I say no. And it's like the world ending. Like when I take away a phone, the world's going to end. In their mind, yes, but in reality, no, you'll be fine.
right, right, and children have phones for us. Children don't have phones for themselves. We give children phones so we can assess our children when we want to. They have found a way to make the phone work for themselves through apps and stuff like that. But the child was given the phone as a means for us to be in contact with the child, right? That's initially why a parent gives a child a phone. A parent doesn't give a child a phone for entertainment purposes initially. The
Correct.
child turns on into entertainment. And so
Well, then it
that's what
becomes, a multi purpose device because then
right.
it opens up for school and then you need it to log in and then if you don't log in, how you're gonna do your work. It
Mhm.
becomes like a plethora of different things that they need it
So that's why I always tell parents to keep a computer. And I'm not saying they can't log into their stuff on their computer, but 9 times out of 10, they don't remember their passwords because it's stored in their quote unquote phone that they've become codependent on. So when you take it, it's like a total shock. They're not trying to remember passwords and stuff because they're used to having that device.
I try to tell them if when I do take their phone, I tell them to write down the passwords to the apps that I feel that is basically interrupting.
Oh, no. Don't write down nothing. Because if I want to see something, I'm going to go right to your phone. You're going to unlock it because if not, I keep your phone longer. You're going to let me see. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I just, suggestion here from listening to you, start small and be consistent with the small things.
Okay.
Okay?
I think you have great perspective. Thank you.
No problem. I'm glad I could give you some helpful advice.
It's helpful because a lot of people and a lot of parents, a lot of young parents, you grow up with some of your children, and then as you extend your family, you kind of get lost in the things that you want to teach them, and then by the time you catch up, it's just like they're already in their own world to connect with them. So
But it's never too late to teach, and it's never too late for them to learn. It's just the way
absolutely
that we present it to them. And the delivery is everything to a teenager.
correct. How you talk to them, instead of talking at them, talk. And it's very hard because you see it's almost like you see the future for the things that they're saying in certain things. Like, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Like, this is what's gonna happen. Kind of like can perceive the future, but you don't want them. They're not going to understand you if you don't break it down in their terms and their way.
Because hindsight is always 2020, right?
Right.
After something has happened, we can always see the clear picture. Our vision is never, right? When we're in the midst of it all and we're trying to get direction, is when we can't understand the way someone is trying to teach us to go. And so I'm a parent of show them it doesn't work. Don't try and tell them it doesn't work. So I'll give you an example. Um, I've been teaching my kids how to make good decisions for themselves since they were like maybe 5 and 8. And I started small with like clothing, letting them pick their um, hygiene, recognizing how to put on lotion or brush your teeth. I say stuff like, if you don't brush your teeth, all the kids at school gonna think you have itchy breath. No, they not. And then one day I let them, they walked out of the house and they brushed their teeth, and then people were sticking at them. That's what you get, because now they've learned from seeing and doing, not me telling, right? Is one thing for
No.
me to tell, it's another thing.
Miss Lakeisha, you're on mute again.
It got to like not going to school. Like I used to let them make decisions on whether or not they wanted to go to school. And so, one of my kids was like, "Oh, I don't need to go to school." And I was like, "Well, let's talk about what happens if you don't go to school." We talked about, well, your grades are going to be bad, and then you won't go to the next grade, and all the kids will go to the next grade, and you'll be stuck, and blah blah blah. I never had a problem with them going to school after that. Because I was like, isn't it a big kid in your class that don't belong there because they stayed back? Yeah. So now you know it's real. You can really stay back. It's like, yeah, that's if you don't do your work, you can stay back. So they start going to school consistently. So I had to show mine. I couldn't really tell them because they wasn't those kinds of kids. But I took small opportunities to make them believers, quote unquote. And so now they buy into majority of everything that I say, and they're 19 and 16 now, well, 18 and 16 now. They buy into just about everything I say because I've shown them consistently that what I'm telling you is something to be true.
So I guess the consistency that I had is that they were always in a before and after for me in order to go to work and establish my career. So
Mm-hmm.
the little time that, someone would take to give them those little tidbits and those little things were missed for me. I had to sacrifice those and have somebody else do it. And then by the time it's time for me to give those little tidbits, the time that I do have, it's missed for
Okay,
certain.
so it's not missed. It's just not. It's not embraced. And so let me tell you, every time you say something to your kid, they're listening. Okay, let me just say that. They may not manifest immediately what you're saying, but they're definitely listening. So keep talking. Okay, never think that your tidbits are going unnoticed. They are listening. But consistency, again, is the key. You keep saying your same tidbit until they start showing you change.
Well, I can't hold my breath. These children are different.
I'm telling you, they're listening. And I get it. Trust me, I do.
It's the little things that I wonder, like, what, do you really think that through? And then it's just like they look at you like, what do you mean? Did I think it through? Well, did you think it through?
Because they don't know. They really don't know what did they think it through. And so, you have to go through, like, sometimes I have sheets that I just tell them, here, fill this sheet out. And after you're done, bring it to me. Let me see your thought process. Because I even have a kid with deficits. And I always say, before I start screaming, I say, help me understand how we got there. Help me understand what did you do, what you did, right? Because your thought process may be different.
My
But I want
children all have attention deficit and they display it at different ages. So they're
to.
defiant. It's kind of like you have to tell them the opposite sometimes in order for them
Mhm.
to do it,
Okay,
so to
so
speak.
with my ADHD kids, one of the major things I found with them is they have what's called APD, auditory processing disorder, and it's not
Right.
about whether they can hear or the pitch. It's about how it's relayed. So it's something like the Charlie Brown scramble. And so a lot of my
Right.
ADHD that I work with, that's what they have. You don't know how to speak to them on their proper side and things of that nature and communicate with them the right way. Then no, they're going to be defiant. You're going to always see that as defiant, but they may not be being defiant on purpose. You get what I mean?
Right. I understand that they're not being defined on purpose. Um, as I've come to with multiple children, that I know that they have this issue, and I try to work with it, but it's challenging because I have the same thing.
And
So
keep
managing
coffee on.
them. Uh-huh.
for for your ADHD children. Allow them to have 4 ounces of coffee.
Sorry, my. It's funny that you said that. My aunt used to let my cousin have a cup of coffee, and I never understood why. And I used to have coffee as a kid with my grandma on the steps as a young kid. And I thought it was something, you're having coffee with grandma like it's a special moment. But as I look back, it's like maybe that was for these issues.
You give the ADHD kids a cup of coffee, a 4 to 6 ounce cup of coffee. Okay. And so make coffee like a big thing in your house. Like, oh, let's have a cup of coffee.
Oh,
And
I
then
always do. But
you
I tried to steer away from it from so long. And then when you go to the pediatrician, they're like, "Oh, you give your child coffee?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." We sit down and I mix it with a little hot chocolate. You
right.
know, they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, well,
Oh,
they
that's
like
fine.
that.
Yeah, that's fine. They can look at you like you're crazy, but it's actually helpful to have ADHD. So continue to do that. That's helpful for them. They need that stimulant.
I try to give them a balanced meal. I do read up on certain things, but definitely I'm going to reincorporate coffee back because it's detrimental to me. But now that you're bringing it again back up to the light, I think I'm going to add that in.
So yeah, so those are the few things that I can give you right today at this moment to help you see a small change with the consistency to start, this process of, I call it no powerless parents when I'm parenting. We have the power. We have the power. Um, so absolutely.
Got it. Very helpful. I think you should broadcast that to a lot of parents, especially the community, the Black community, and the Hispanic community cultures. It's something that is not being taught or given to understand.
Right. So I don't want to overdo it today. You've already been through that strenuous exercise earlier, but that's just a little snippet of what can be done immediately to kind of help the situation. Okay?
Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you all so much. Um Chiquita Rose, I am extremely proud of you for coming through and doing this demonstration on shadow healing and how you can get to the core root of an issue or a trigger. Like I said, tonight was all about deconstructing the onion, to taking it down and taking the triggers as the peels of an onion. And with that, you just keep peeling it away and peeling it away until you get down to the core of it. And then recognizing that and standing in that truth, and how you can incorporate that shadow into yourself, and how you're responsible for that yourself, your younger self at that root core. Um, my sister Lakeisha, I am extremely grateful, and I am so humbled that you came through with your words of wisdom and experience, and of course all of your clinical wherewithal. And I appreciate you. I am so, so happy. I'm just very extremely humbled that you came through to help and to show people that it's really not hard. If you can't do this process on your own, that there is another way to go, and to let go of the stigmatism of reaching out for professional help, especially in our communities. Any last words you would like to share, Ms. Settles?
But I appreciate you allowing me to be here and share my expertise. And I look forward to continuing to listen in.
Oh my gosh, this is home. Welcome to Blended Healing. This is your home. You are more than welcome to come up on the panel at any time, to share your expertise, to share your insights, to share your experience. Because all of these jewels that you have dropped tonight, I'm sure is going to help more people than you know. And that's what all of this is all about: how to help the greater good, how to help women or even men. I'm not going to say even men, women and men go through this process of healing, which is what this is all about. So I am, like I said, I am so humbled and so appreciative to the both of you for coming through. And for those who had tapped in various times, for those who are going to be doing the replay, this is well worth it. A lot of gems were shared. Um, so good. It's a classic. So please, I'm going to give you what the next assignment is going to be. Like I said, I'm going to just go through this real quick. We've been on here for a while, and I know it's a Friday night, and we have to process this. This is the reason why we're doing this on Fridays, because at least you have the weekend to process. Okay? So let's just go and recap what we did tonight in regards to the shadow. This was definitely a trigger warning. Um, this is a hard process, but for you to make a commitment to yourself, I commend each and every one of you, because you have stepped up and said enough is enough, and I need to start my healing process and what that looks like. Like I told you, this deconstruction or peeling of the onion is a tough process because you're looking in the mirror. But the thing that I know is that the divine always has your back. It may feel as though you're going down a rabbit hole or staring down the barrel of the things that you don't want to do. But in all things, remember to breathe in and to breathe out, because you're going to come out of this victorious. I know this because you are healers. You are warriors in your own right. You have the power within to continue with this process or even share it. Know that you have help. You don't necessarily have to do this on your own. If you need support, remember that matrix I made you write out in regards to who your board of directors are? That's your support team. So utilize them in the capacity that you decide. If you need to seek professional help, be encouraged to do so. You know that there's one-on-one counseling available. You can even go into group sessions. This is where your board of directors can come in handy for you. Okay? So, or you can go classically. Take the stigmatism out of our community. In this world today, we need more help than ever just to get ourselves whole. Take the opportunity, list out your triggers in your journal so we can go over them next Friday. Take the time out. Nobody will see your journal but you, but list out your triggers. Okay? I want to thank you for coming in and spending this time in blended healing. Okay? I want to thank you so much. Please do the replay if you missed any portion of this. It is well worth it. We had the expertise of Miss Settles here that can help you, that had over 15 years of experience in this field alone as a social worker. I want to thank again Ms. Chiquita Rose for coming through to doing the demonstration. I appreciate you. I love each and every one of you. Be well, stay safe, deep bow, and I
Mhm.